Alright, so let me check what we got this week. Ah, fuck.
冷子枫居然在这儿偷懒！哎，你怎么这么烫啊？不会发烧了吧？
I get that this is a joke, but most fencers wear clothes underneath their regular equipment. I've only known one fencer who started by wearing his regular gear without a shirt on underneath, and he kind of stopped after a while. It's a little bit hard to tell, but I don't think he was wearing an underarm protector. It's basically like half a thick shirt that covers the fencing arm underneath the jacket. It's only worn on one side of the body. So his jacket wasn't completely off, so I can't really tell, but it looks like he wasn't wearing one, which is basic required equipment for even just practicing. If you want to practice, there's a minimum amount of equipment that is required to even do so, and for competition there's a little bit more. But for just practice, it's the jacket, underarm protector, if you're a woman, a chest protector as well, a glove, and a mask. That is what is required to practice with a blade, usually against someone else. It looks like he's not wearing one though.
你在干嘛
500组蛙跳已经做完了，升级自主训练。
跳完就不用跳了是吗？你看大家在干嘛？你在干嘛？你现在所做的一切都是为了以后打基础，你知道吗？
可光是蛙跳，我的击剑能进步吗？出剑速度能更快吗？能打赢一军吗？
你基础没打好，怎么打一军？
不是，这蛙跳它有什么意义啊？我的体能比所有人都好。
努练。
I really liked this scene and I wanted to talk about it because it's something that does happen in a lot of fencing clubs, particularly in the beginner classes. The thing is, a lot of students come into fencing after seeing a sword fighting scene in a movie or something, and they think it's all, flashing blades and, sometimes witty banter and back and forth actions and stuff like that. The thing is, that doesn't really happen. Well, the back and forth actions do in a lot of fencing, but it's mostly not really about your blade work, particularly in saber fencing. I mean, you do need to have good blade work and good control and stuff like that, but a lot of what makes a fencer really good is actually their use of footwork and how they can control it, whether they're able to move very quickly and rapidly down the strip, or whether they can take small steps or big steps when they need to, their control of distance. A lot of that really comes from how their footwork is. So, having good footwork is a lot more essential and just really necessary to being a good fencer than I think a lot of people realize when first getting into it. So I like that they have this huge emphasis on having good endurance and stamina in your legs and having that really sort of explosiveness. Because I myself have never done any sort of frog leaps like they're doing, but I have done drills similar to that, and I can see how doing a lot of these kinds of jumps would really help a fencer. That kind of sort of explosive speed and strength that you need in your legs, you could really get it from this type of jumping, and it would really help you in not just your lunges and a lot of your attacks, but also how you can change direction. Being able to switch directions very rapidly is a very important trait in fencing, and it's really necessary to set up good distance and timing traps, particularly in saber. So it's something that would definitely help a lot. And the other thing that I want to bring up is they're talking about how important it is to build up a foundation, which is absolutely 100% true. I have seen a lot of students come in and, they see some cool maneuver or some, well pulled off technique that another student did, and they want to learn like a lot of this kind of thing and that kind of thing that they're not being taught yet in class. And the reason they're not being taught that is because they're still building that foundation. The thing is, a lot of students, I've seen plenty of students, once they get to the point that they have a lot of the drills memorized, and it seems like they're doing just the basic maneuvers over and over again, they start to think like, well, I'm not being, this is progressing too slowly, I'm not being taught new things. And the thing is, that's 100% on purpose. The thing is, a student never really realizes how much you need to have footwork ingrained into your muscle memory so that you can do it in really any sort of situation. It might seem easy, but there are so many times where you start, you bring up a new drill to them that's like, if they first enter the advanced class, and it's like, all right, do this series of blade work with this series of footwork, and the students, if they're new to it, they thought they were ready for it, and now they're getting confused. They either focus too much on the blade work or too much on the footwork, and basically a lot of their form starts to really suffer because it turns out they didn't lay a good enough foundation if they desperately tried to bite off more than they could chew. That happens a lot, and basically this whole like student versus coach situation happens all the time, where a student thinks they're above this, they don't need to do this sort of basic drill anymore, that they're ready for the next step, and it's like, no, you're not. You still have to build up this good foundation. And the thing is, I don't care how advanced you are or how many years you've been fencing, pretty much every good fencer that I know or have heard of, they still practice the basics all the time. They never stop. So this whole insistence on doing a lot of more basic stuff, more endurance and footwork related drills, and making sure that the students are building up a foundation before getting into the sort of finer details, especially with blade work, that is 100% accurate. And I'm actually really happy to see that sort of focus in a show like this, because it definitely happens all the time.
要不要来打架，让你见识一下什么叫15年的差距。因为太弱了，被一个这么弱的人打败，就算是一个意外，也让我很难受。我们的比赛还没有结束，我告诉你，我比任何人都希望你赶快变强，这样我才能重新打败你。
Alright, that's the end of that. There was only one thing to bring up with what I said before about the particular type of training, footwork, reliance on footwork, and the importance of building a good foundation, but there was no real fencing in this, so I'm not going to give it a score this week. So, even though nothing really happened, I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you next week. Bye.